Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show, it's about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Pandora. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, there's the whole situation with, we have Jax, and, obviously she's in the school alone, and it's like, okay, what's this all about? I was like, is this a dream or something? But then, as the episode went on, and just, her, her studying stuff, I'm like, this is Bloom. But I was like, that doesn't make any sense. How was Bloom so fully grown? I was like, is this a Pandora thing? But even I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Jax grew up like a normal kid from what we could tell, because she was a baby and then she lived her life and grew up, So that's why I was like, how is this possible? I was like, did this situation work out? I wasn't sure. So, but obviously it's like, okay. And then I was thinking, maybe it's a simulation. Is this like a fake simulation or something? And then, obviously Zazzy's her mom. And I'm like, okay. So I get it. You're training her. Because, I figured as much. My theory was okay, so they've got to be Tierney and Eve and Zazzy all want a Pandora of their own to control. That's what I wasn't 100%. Because I guess if they could get that one under their control, I wasn't really 100% sure what the need for that would be. Obviously, at the same time, you have Xander finding out from Straw, yeah, Jax had a baby. Wait, what? Who's the father? Actually, it was an immaculate conception. So, read a book every once in a while, Xander, but it's now it's oh, this child's name is Bloom, and obviously for Xander, it's he feels bad because he was off doing all this other stuff instead of being there for Jax when she needed him. Obviously, you have Jet wanting to help. He's like, hey, let me help you find your brother. But he's like, no, the Admiral gave us orders to go back. And obviously, it's I'm not part of, CIS, nor am I most likely at the academy, considering the weeks I've missed of school. But it's obviously Jet's heart's in the right place. He wants to help, Raylan find his brother. But it's honestly, we can't take the chance that's going to ignite some war. Obviously for Xander, on many different levels, you don't want war to happen, but also he knows what Jet doesn't know about the ancients and them being on a time frame of we need to prove that this universe is worth sparing it, so. But then also, they look for Raylan. Wait, Raylan's not in his bed. It's wait, what's up with that? Did Raylan decide to go off on his own? But then we find out he's actually there with Bloom. But then I'm like, is that really Raylan? Or is it a copy of I was like, is this all some fabricated, test? Because you could tell, because obviously, Zazzy is telling Bloom to suppress any negative emotions you have, suppress them. And also we saw, I was like, wait, she has different abilities to Jax. I was like, is that just because Jax never awakened her full capabilities as a Pandora? Does that mean each Pandora kind of has their own unique abilities? Because we never really got to see the other Jax, the other Pandora that, Xander ended up killing. We don't know what it was capable of. But Jax has it. She's shown that she's able to, I think, pick things up pretty quickly. I guess maybe her adaptability might be that, or maybe that's something all Pandoras share. But it seems like she picks up on stuff pretty damn quickly. But it isn't. She doesn't have the force lightning that Bloom has. So I was I wonder, is that a byproduct of something else, or is it because? Well, I'll get right into it, because obviously Xander and Jet end up there after the whole situation with Raylan failed, because obviously. Because it was this complicated thing, because obviously for Raylan, it's you wanted to be with me. It's one thing I wanted to hear in my entire life. But then, obviously, she focuses on the positive stuff, but obviously, because the Pandoras can share each other's memories, so she remembers Raylan a little bit through Jax's memories, but then obviously she was only seeing the good, but now it's the bad stuff kind of came to the forefront as well. And that same thing ended up happening with Xander, that's because obviously it's the whole point was to show her sugar and spice, all the good sides of humanity and not all the evil. But I think that's the point, humanity. And I think that's kind of the point everyone else is missing. They're trying to focus on all the good aspects about humanity. Humanity is flawed, as it always kind of goes. Humanity's perfectly imperfect, But humanity has a capability. We might be flawed, but we have the capability to grow, to change, to be better, to do better, which obviously creates parallels between this and the 100 in that regard. But regardless, but obviously Xander and Jet, she's remembering kind of the bad stuff, the feelings that Xander gave her, and the bad stuff in sense, and I mean, in particular, him killing the other Pandora. Like, she doesn't quite understand it, but she has this feeling of like, you're here to hurt me. And then so she ends up attacking Jet. He's like, ow. And he's like, there's probably a scar here. And then obviously it's like, all right, Jet, I'm going to stay here. You go investigate. He's like, this creepy place by myself. He's like, how about I stay here and question a pretty girl and you get to go examine. And then like Xander just gives him the look. He's like, fine, I'll go. You know? Because Xander immediately starts chalking up to be like, are we in the future? And I was like, oh, is that why? But because at first I was like, maybe that has something to do with because they went to a certain point in time, and obviously she grew up, and then I was like, but then why does Zazie look exactly the same? You would expect her to look a little older, so that's what kind of confused me. I was like, I don't know what to make of that. But obviously, like this, Bloom has a lot of art, and obviously, like she's like, I don't know you, Xander, but I do. Feel like I know you, like, because she drew pictures of him, but she wasn't quite sure what it was, but it's like, she's like, all I want to do is think about you and be with you, but obviously, Xander quickly figures out, wait, you're not Jax, because something doesn't feel right when he hugs her, and so, at the same time, Jet gets captured, and then Zazie gives him the truth, so we get the full scale and scope of everything, which is sad, because at the same time, like, well, earlier in the episode, Jax was with Troll and ended up fighting because she's like, oh, my baby's going, so is Zazie, maybe they were taken by the same person, and it finds out, oh, the kidnapper and Zazie are the same person, she took my baby, and obviously that's got hit because it's like, well, I forgot her name, that Sumi princess did say, hey, don't trust that, don't show your back to Zazie, you can't trust her. You thought she would have taken a little bit more warning to that, but she didn't, and because obviously for her, it's like, Jax is, shattered because it's like, oh my God, because like her baby's going and she's worried because she blames herself for being like, if I just say it away, because I'm sure Kashral wanted to give the baby away, but it's like, she wanted to hold on just a little bit longer. It's like, maybe if I hadn't, like, I'm sure all that stuff is racing through Jax's mind, but regardless, getting back to Zazie explains, I was like, wait, you think we're in the future? No, this is my Earth. And I was like, wait, what? We're dealing with parallel Earths here. Basically, her world had a different history, which I love stuff like that. Once again, I forgot what I was watching recently. I'm blanking on it. I was watching something recently that had a parallel world type of situation going on. At least I made comparison to Full Metal Alchemist. I just don't remember what it was. It was something I was watching recently where I made a comparison to Full Metal Alchemist. Regardless, tangents and all that. But the fact of the matter is, when it was all said and done, like, Zazie's world didn't go through the great migration that the world that we've come to follow has, the one that Jax and Xander and Raylan and them are from. Instead, they devoted all their resources to trying to basically fix the situation on Earth. But it didn't work out, plus a whole bunch of wars happened, and so, but then we find out, like, what this is all about. Tierney and Eve actually came to this world because they were trying to find parallel Earths to, like, rather than trying to find to be fair, the ancients are going to go on a universal wide effect, so it's like, it's not just, oh, let's find another planet. It's like, we need to find another universe. Well, why bother looking for a universe that could be habitable for our species? How about just finding a world that's exactly like ours, just in a different dimension? So they use portals to find their way to another dimension, and here they met with Zazie, because Zazie actually has like a PhD and stuff like that, so she was actually trying to find a way to fix like the crop situation, but it didn't work out. So before all life came to an end on this planet, she went with Eve and Tierney because their whole plan, like, Bloom, because at first I was thinking, like, okay, because they made it, because even Troll and them, like, obviously they didn't understand it, so they're like, okay, so maybe, like, the ancients wanted to create a new Pandora to replace the one that was already gone, but I was like, why would you really need that? Like, considering the fact that Jax is here, but then to be fair, it's like, well, that Pandora and Jax coexisted at the same time. Well, mainly because the other Pandora was taken out of commission, so they needed a new Jax. They needed a new Pandora to replace that. But this was a little different because Jax was out and about, so that's why I was kind of confused. But I was like, so I also thought like maybe they're the reason why it was able to, Bloom was able to grow so fast. It's like no, because she was not created by the ancients. Apparently, this has been Eve, Tyranny, and I knew it was to kidnap the baby. I figured it was also for the purpose of having a Pandora of their own. But it's like they made her, so it's like this is what Tyranny was like. If you do this, your daughter's never going to forgive you. Not only did you take her daughter, which I'm sure that's it, it's also to find out you cloned her and impregnated her without her knowing, so there's many levels of just how messed up that is. But obviously for Eve, it's like, it's for the greater good, so I don't care at the end of the, I mean, Jack's gonna hate me, but it's like for the greater good type of situation. So it turns out that basically they wanted to make a clone that knew only good, because hey, when the time comes, Jax had her doubts. So who's to say that when the time comes again that Jax won't have her doubts as well? So this was supposed to be like Eve and Zazzy's like foolproof plan by teaching a child nothing but the good, to know nothing but love and happiness. Then when the time comes for her to be in front of the ancients. But that's also what I'm curious about. Like, would that really work, considering the fact is that maybe you probably automatically fail because this isn't the Pandora, because it's not a Pandora of their making. She might be a Pandora, but she's an artificial created Pandora, not a Pandora that they themselves made. So that might have been screwed you over from the beginning. Maybe they would have been like, whoa, you're trying to deceive us? Oh, boom, automatic fail. Once again, you can also definitely see the parallels between this and the 100, especially in the final season, regard, the test and everything. But, I just thought that was kind of fascinating to like, but it turns out Raylan being brought there, Jet as well. Obviously, Zazzy didn't know about Jet being brought along, but it kind of had to be. But Raylan and Xander were meant to be, because this was Tyranny's way to try and show Eve and Zazzy that their plan won't work, because this was all Eve's plan. So it's kind of like, I'm showing her that, because she's very pessimistic by being like, all it took was two men, people that she loved, that she wanted to love her in return, how much turmoil they caused. So she's saying that basically love isn't, it's not perfect. Like, there is kind of like no like happiness without like that pain and stuff, because like, I was like, holy crap, you come from a very pessimistic point of view. But I guess it's like maybe everything with her dad, maybe that plays a role in that. I don't know. Like, she just has a super pessimistic view. But even then, it's kind of like, why would you do that? Like, even if you didn't believe in this, like, why would you bring us here to like destroy an opportunity that could? Yeah, you might not have believed in it, but like, why threaten at one of your best options at this? But obviously, we know because of her conversation with Troll, she wants that weapon, so she can try and they can destroy the ancients. It's like, if we destroy the ancients before they destroy us, it's all good. It's like, well, for one, there's no guarantee this weapon will actually work on the ancients. Two, you also don't know what could happen if the ancients die. There might be a failsafe in all of this, which is like, oh, like the moment we die, like it's an automatic destruction for your species. You don't know, it could float either way. But obviously for Tyranny, it's like, we need to have a serious talk, Xander. And obviously Bloom finds out it's not like she was the first one, she's the first successful one, because all the other Pandoras didn't come out successfully. They came out like messed up, which obviously Bloom is upset by, because it's like, the fact of the matter is they were living beings and you cast them aside, you created them, you made them. And now it's like, it's to have your entire reality shattered by being like, you're not my mom, plus you made me, you made all these other people, they were nothing but lab rats to you, is that how you see me? And obviously she kind of has a breakdown, and obviously she ends up burning Zazzy. Once again, we don't know like whether Jax is able to do all this too as a Pandora, or is it just because of the cloning process and everything that maybe it did something with the Pandora DNA inside of Bloom that manifested these abilities. Like I said, maybe Jax has them as well. We have no full scope of like what she's capable of, because she's actually the one, she can't actually make a portal, because the other Pandora could. I think that's an ability all have, but I think Jax can't quite do it on her own like the others could. But the fact of the matter is, when it's all said and done, Xander, it's like, you're the daughter of the woman I love. The fact of the matter is, we are a family. Come back with me. I can show you love. Like, you know, and even Raylan saying, like, yeah, we are a family. Like, we'll be there for you. But for Bloom, it's just kind of, I think, you know, because I think also, like, I guess Tierney's also the one that was sending her the poetry. Well, no, because I guess that was Zazie, too, because it was all about, like, you know, making her worldview nothing but love and happiness, you know, and obviously... Well, it's mainly because you lied to her. Granted, I get it, but it's like filling someone's head with only just the good stuff is BS, because life isn't that. It's not just the good stuff. It's the bad stuff, too, because it's the good and the bad shape you into the person you are. So, you know, it's just a crazy situation. So, obviously, Bloom ends up leaving, so Tierney, like, portals all of them back to their Earth. And obviously there's a conversation between Zazie and Jet about, like, you know, it's like, do you think they'll give me it's like, you'll get a second chance. It's like, how can you be so sure? It's like, they gave someone like me a second chance. So just Jackson and her friends are willing to. And so what I thought was kind of interesting, though, is Zazie found a message that was meant for Jax. It's from Bloom. She had dropped it off. And so what we see is that Bloom apparently was able to watch her mom. It's like, she shows up kind of in disguise, but we see her, like, she's in the background of the first episode. So it's like, so I guess because maybe both worlds, like, you probably have to specify, like, what, like, I don't know, like, I would assume that meant, like, Bloom kind of, maybe because each dimension's on its own time axis, or however you want to phrase it. So, like, maybe, like, when Bloom came to this world, she ended up, maybe, you know, that's what Pandora, you know, we don't know what Pandoras are fully capable of. So she was able to go, not only come to this dimension, but also go back in time. And she was able to see her mom, like, you know, it's like, I've seen you fail, but I've also seen you succeed, like, you know, the relationships, the friendships that you have. And so she believes because of that, what she was able to see of her mom, she's like, I know out of anyone, you'll be the one to be able to save humanity. She believes in her, you know? And even saying, don't be mad at Zazie either. She did what she... So, granted, we don't know how much time has passed between Bloom leaving, because remember, like, as Jet kind of put it, like, she is like a full-grown Pandora, but she has the mind of a child. Like, we don't know, like, how much she's grown, like, how much time. Maybe she's been off on her own learning this entire time, or maybe that's pretty immediately afterwards. Who knows? You know, we don't, once again, we don't know what experiences she's had since then. I mean, she must have enough control over her power to end up on this particular Earth and know to, like, contact Jet and not Jackson and everything, you know, so that's an interesting and complicated thing. Then on top of that, there's everything with the Admiral arresting not only Osborn because he met with Straw and Jax, but it's because, like, you know, the Admiral was like, oh, I've been keeping an eye on you, Straw, because I figured you lead us to Osborn, and you're all traitors, so I'm arresting all of you, which is not good, because, well, for one, Jax is not in the best mind state because, hey, her daughter was taken from her. Two, plus she won't know that her daughter's out there somewhere, fully grown and everything, so there's that complicated thing. But also, like, she, you know, that's probably also going to coincide with the deadline of, like, hey, humanity's futures exist which is also interesting, because let's not forget the Admiral's connection to, God, I'm blanking on his name, Harlan, you know, so it's like, maybe that plays a factor in this as well, because obviously she's thinking, like, oh, Osborn's about... I mean, yes, Osborn has his issues, but everything he has done has been for the sake of trying to save humanity. Like, everyone has kind of gone about it the wrong way. I'm assuming we didn't see Xander at the end, so I'm assuming he's meeting with Eve and Tierney about this other situation. Because I think it's interesting to come full circle, because what was Xander willing to do? He killed the other Pandora through a portal that kills people for the sake of trying to save the universe. So I'm sure that's why Tierney probably turns to him, because it's like, you out of anybody knows what's necessary to do. Get your hands a little dirty if it means, you know, saving the universe. So it's like, but Xander probably won't be too keen. Like, he might feel like that's the only option, you know, or maybe he won't. I mean, because he's before now has still believed in, like, Jax being the one that's going to save them all. Obviously, Tierney's not as hopeful. So it begs the question, like, you know, what is Xander going to do? Is he going to go along with their plans, or is he just going to be like, no, I'm going to believe and Jax. Ultimately have to wait and see. Obviously, like I said, Jax has been arrested. Got a quick preview of the next episode. I saw only like a little bit before. I was like, no, I don't want to know. But I think they're going to end up busting Jax out, probably because they don't really have much choice. They're probably going to end up being fugitives in their own right. But it's like, well, because, now Jet's got to be filled in about because he's like ancient, the end of the universe and everything. It's like, not right now. But, so he's probably been filled in a little bit more about everything that's going on. So, but regardless, I'm very interested to see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.